If you ask most people today to picture a marriage, they imagine two people choosing each other out of love, committing to a single monogamous relationship. It feels like the natural default. But for thousands of years, personal preference had virtually zero to do with who you married. Historically, the dominant model was the contract marriage. This was a calculated legal and financial arrangement. Families used it to secure land, wealth, and social standing, rather than any romantic connection. This animated diagram illustrates how early societies managed resources through polygamous marriages. In harsh environments, a structure like polygyny, where one man has multiple wives, maximized labor and heirs. Conversely, polyandry concentrated a shared pool of limited assets, preventing division among competing families. Early arranged marriages operated within this same strict logic. Families orchestrated unions to forge defensive alliances and ensure collective survival. There was no room for individual deviation. The original institution was designed as a rigid, pragmatic tool to keep humans alive, which raises a crucial question. How did a system built entirely around survival turn into today's highly personalized industry of individual choice? The first major shift occurred as societies grew larger and more organized. Marriage evolved from a local religious tradition, dictated entirely by community rituals, into a formal civil arrangement. Civil marriage allowed government officials to standardize the rules. The ultimate authority over who could marry whom moved from the village elders directly to the state. As modern societies industrialized, everyday survival became more secure. People no longer needed to marry just to ensure they had food or physical protection. That newfound security cleared the way for the love marriage. Couples began pursuing what we now call a companionate marriage. The metrics for a successful union shifted away from resource generation. Instead, partners expected friendship, equality, and deep emotional support. Prioritizing individual choice quickly began to dismantle historical boundaries. As people looked for compatibility over convenience, interfaith and intercultural marriages became increasingly common. The demand for individual autonomy grew so strong that even modern arranged marriages adapted. Today, while families or communities still help select a partner, the couple's mutual consent is an essential requirement. Removing daily survival from the equation stripped away centuries of institutional control. Individual autonomy replaced collective security as the core operating principle of a marriage. Once the individual gained autonomy over their relationships, the legal, geographical, and structural boundaries of marriage rapidly expanded. Long-standing legal and gender barriers fell as countries began formally recognizing same-sex marriages, expanding the definition of who could legally commit to one another. Geography also shifted from a hard physical limitation to a customizable preference. Couples began opting for destination marriages, holding their ceremonies at beaches or historical sites far from their local communities. This animated diagram shows how we've extended that geographical freedom into the digital space. With the emergence of online and virtual marriages, long-distance partners can now conduct parts of their relationship, or even their ceremony, completely across borders. Couples are even renegotiating the concept of permanence itself. Some societies now recognize forms of trial or temporary marriages, allowing partners to agree on a limited duration commitment to test their compatibility. Others are renegotiating exclusivity. In an open marriage, a couple maintains their core legal union, but they mutually agree that certain outside relationships are allowed. Couples now navigate an expanding, highly personalized web of structural options, choosing specific legal and social layers that fit their specific needs. In a few short centuries, the rigid survival tool of our ancestors has transformed into a customizable menu for personal fulfillment. It is common to view this extreme structural diversity, the open, virtual, or temporary marriages, as a breakdown of tradition and a failure of the institution itself. But biological and sociological history shows us exactly what happens to rigid structures under changing pressures. They shatter. Structures that adapt are the ones that survive. If marriage had remained purely a mechanism for forging family alliances and securing basic resources, it would have become completely obsolete in a secure modern society. The institution of marriage didn't break. By shifting its core value away from simple survival and toward emotional connection and individual choice, it successfully evolved to ensure its own.